There are few silhouettes in aviation history as instantly recognizable as the inverted gull wings of the F4U-1D Corsair. Suspended from the ceiling of the Boeing Aviation Hangar at the Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center, Bureau number 50375 looks ready to dive straight into a Pacific dogfight. But like many surviving warbirds, the story of this specific airframe is a unique blend of stateside duty, careful preservation, and a tribute to the Marines who flew the type into combat. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the history of the National Air and Space Museum's F4U-1D Corsair. By the time Vought delivered the specific F4U-1D Corsair to the United States Navy on April 26 of 1944, the Corsair had already earned a fearsome reputation. Early models were notoriously difficult to land on aircraft carriers. The Incident Eliminator, as it was sometimes grimly called, tended to bounce on the deck, and its long nose obscured the pilot's forward visibility on approach. Because of this, early Corsairs were largely handed over to land-based Marine Corps units, while the Navy relied on the more docile Grumman F-6F Hellcat for carrier operations. The 1D variant, however, represented a turning point. It featured an altered seating position, a new blown bubble canopy for better visibility, and the ability to carry a heavier payload of rockets and bombs. Bureau number 50375 was built right in the middle of this developmental sweet spot. While the aircraft's current paint job suggests a combat veteran, its actual World War II service was entirely stateside. Instead of heading to the Pacific Theater, it remained on the East Coast and in the Southeast, serving as a trainer and fleet pool aircraft. It was here that young naval aviators cut their teeth on the powerful 2,000 horsepower Pratt Whitney R2800 double wasp engine before deploying overseas. Decades later, in May of 2009, this stateside service resulted in an incredible reunion at the Udvar-Hazy Center. A World War II naval aviator named Jim Henry visited the museum armed with his old logbooks. By matching the bureau numbers, he confirmed that he had actually flown this exact Corsair during his training in 1944. Henry later deployed to the Pacific flying Grumman F4F Wildcats, an aircraft he admittedly felt was a bit of a letdown after experiencing the raw power of the Corsair. After World War II, thousands of surplus aircraft were unceremoniously scrapped, but Bureau number 50375 survived. It was struck for the Navy's charge in April of 1946 and spent over a decade bouncing between storage facilities, with it residing near Norman, Oklahoma from 1946 to 1958, and then stored at NAS Norfolk from 1958 to 1960. In September of 1960, the U.S. Navy officially donated the aircraft to the Smithsonian Institution. It was moved to the Paul E. Garber Preservation, Restoration, and Storage Facility in Maryland. By October of 1980, Smithsonian craftsmen had completed a meticulous restoration of the airframe. They chose not to finish in its generic stateside training colors. Instead, to honor the combat legacy of the type, it was painted in the distinctive markings of a Corsair named Sunsetter. This specific livery represents an aircraft assigned to Marine Fighter Squadron VMF-114, which flew combat missions from the deck of the fleet carrier USS Essex in July of 1944. With full restoration being completed by 1993, this aircraft was initially put on display at the Virginia Air and Space Museum near Hampton, Virginia, and then since December 2005, it hangs proudly at the Udvar-Hazy Center, a pristine tribute to the Corsair's legacy, bearing the colors of the Marines who fought in the Pacific, while holding the history of the young pilots who trained in its cockpit back home. There is an old rumor that the famous Marine Corps pilot Pappy Boynton of the infamous Black Sheep Squadron signed his name in one of the wheel wells, but I've never been able to see it, so if it's there or not, I couldn't tell you either way. Thank you for watching this episode, and keep an eye out for other videos in this series.